But you're acting like he was a shrimp. Fezzy, big guest dropping into the show right now. This has got to be exciting for you.
I'm very excited about this. He's going to make his in-ring debut this Thursday on TNA Impact when TNA goes primetime on Spike TV at 9 p.m. And then he'll be facing Samoa Joe at the pay-per-view, the TNA pay-per-view this Sunday called Genesis. It's Mr. Kurt Angle. You suck. You suck. You suck.
Buddies, Kurt Angle on the Ron Fez show.
Welcome to the show, Kurt.
Thanks, guys. I'm great. It's great to be on here, man. You guys are great.
And Kurt, you look like $1 million. I got to tell you the truth. You look fantastic.
Actually, I'm about $950,000, but I'm close.
You dropped to $50,000, huh? How's everything going with you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so enthusiastic about TNA. I quit WWE for many reasons. One was because of TNA. Two was I couldn't take the 28-day-a-month schedule that they were giving me.
Right.
At this point in my career, that was including appearances and stuff like that. They just really abused me, used me, gobbled me out, spit me out, and I felt like they were really taking advantage of a top guy. And I drew more money for them the last 6 years than any other wrestler. And whenever we go overseas or anywhere else, they always promote Kurt Angle was going to be there, and people always wanted to watch me wrestle. And I just, I wasn't getting enough gratitude from Vince McMahon. It came to a point where he'd never even talk to me about storylines or anything like that. All he wanted me to do was wrestle, so he kind of painted me in a corner where I didn't really get to carry the ball. He started letting John Cena, who's less than average wrestler, Triple H, who is boring as hell, and then you had me, and he had an opportunity to really run the ball with me, and he dropped it. And you know what I said? I said to him, listen, if you're not going to make big plans with me, then I want to go part-time. Mm-hmm. And if you're not going to give me part-time, I want to quit. He said, well, we need you full-time. We need you really badly. And I said, well, you know what? I need to quit. I said, you know what? Release me today. And he did. I give him a lot of credit because he had me for 5.5 more years, but I got the release. So I give Vince McMahon credit for releasing me. And so I don't have any problems with him.
Now, you were with the WWE for how long?
I was with the WWE for over 6 years.
Over 6 years.
Yeah.
You came in as, of course, Olympic champion.
Yes.
How long before you felt like I've showed up now in pro wrestling? How long to take that transition before you can feel comfortable with it?
You know what? It happened overnight.
Yeah.
Most amateur wrestlers, it's the opposite, because as an amateur wrestler, you're taught to never go to your back. In pro wrestling, for safety reasons, you always bump to your back first.
Right.
So it's hard for me to let myself get clotheslined or slammed onto my back. I always wanted to end up on my stomach. But what I did is I forgot everything I learned in the last 22 years, and I just started over again, and I picked it up from day one. By my third day, I was wrestling a tryout match for TV with Christian Cage, and we blew the house off at a house show, and Vince McMahon wanted to start me. That was my third day wrestling.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I literally won the title within 11 and a half months from when I stepped in the ring. No one has ever done that in the history of wrestling, period. Guys have come in on TV and won it within 11 months before that, like Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. Well, they've never, like Randy Orton had 3.5 years of training before he came there. Brock Lesnar had 3 years of training. I didn't have any. I just came in and bam, title, so they gave me the ball without knowing if I could carry it or not. And, so I give Vince a lot of credit for having faith in me, but at the same time, I thought he's pretty stupid not training me enough to get ready. And, but me, it's sink or swim. I'm going to swim.
Right.
Yeah.
At what point did it feel like you and Vince stopped having a close relationship, or was it ever close?
It happened after I hurt my neck the second time.
Right.
he just kind of gave up on me. He thought, you know what, this guy's going to have neck injuries his whole life. Because I had 2 neck injuries with the WWE. I had a broken neck with before the Olympics. So I think Vince turned his back on me and said, you know what, maybe this kid isn't going to be my top draw. And I came back fighting, and I hurt my neck again, 3rd time. So that's when he asked me to retire, and I said, I'm not going to retire. I said, you can fire me, but I'm not retiring. Mm-hmm. And then I came back, and before he knew it, I was on fire, and the fans were turning me from heel to babyface. And everywhere we went, I had the hottest babyface in the world that I was facing, John Cena, and they were booing him. And I remember one time in Hawaii, they were throwing stuff at him, and they were cheering for me. And when I left, John Cena tried to cut a rap promo, and they shit on him even worse. And when he got backstage, I said, John, don't you ever do that again. I said, if you don't have the crowd with you during the match, you're not going to get him back by doing a rap promo.
Right.
I said, you're just going to make him more pissed off. And so I taught John Cena a lot the 6 months I worked with him. But Vince started to see a change in me, and he started to see that I was a serious contender to carry the ball. And that's when he traded me over to SmackDown and gave me, I won the title and started running there. But he didn't want me to be me. He wanted me to be Batista, and that pissed me off. So Rey Mysterio came up to me in a pre-tape once and said, after I beat Mark Henry's ass tonight, I'm going to beat your ass at the pay-per-view. And basically I said this, I don't know if you ought to say this on TV, but I said, you know what, you little fuck, I'll beat the shit out of you. I'm your worst nightmare. You don't want to face me because I'll beat your ass so bad you wish you never were born. I walked away from him. Vince said, no, don't do it that way. Be nice to him. I said, Vince, he just told me he's going to beat my ass. Right. And Vince goes, no, well, just say, well, good luck tonight, and I'm looking forward to wrestling at the pay-per-view. I said, what am I, a pussy? Mm-hmm. Vince said, no, you're a babyface. I said, no, babyfaces don't say that stuff anymore. They, they tell the guy to fuck off, So, excuse my language,
no,
but
not at all, not a problem.
It was more of a pro like that, and then I figured out, you know what, he's having me become Batista. So basically, he's using me while Batista's gone. And then I found out that Shawn Michaels was supposed to take the spot, but he said no. So that pissed me off. That's a little skinny, long-haired bastard. Didn't go over to SmackDown. I went. Meanwhile, I was over on SmackDown for 6 years. I just went over to Raw, started doing stuff on Raw, and now Shawn doesn't want to go to SmackDown because he wants to stay on Raw. So that skinny little bastard had me go over there. Vince said, you're the first person I went to. I knew I could count on you, Kurt. And Vince lied to me. He asked Shawn Michaels first.
So much of the stuff that happens is all backstage and political, right?
It is political.
Who gets to do
it's
what,
Triple H and Shawn
who goes
Michaels.
over.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels, that's it, period.
Now, why is that? Why those guys?
They have Vince's ear. One is related to Vince. One has enough balls to walk in front of everybody, go straight to Vince and say, this is how I want it. Mm-hmm. Undertaker's just the opposite. Undertaker's laid back. He's cool. He'll do whatever Vince wants. That's the way it's supposed. And Undertaker was the leader in the locker room. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't there, I was. But Undertaker knows how the business goes, and he knows the best thing to do is to do what the boss tells you to do. And instead, these guys are always tricking Vince into, I'll give you an example. Right now, the main storyline should be John Cena versus Edge.
Right.
It's not. It's DX. Okay, so now Triple H is going to say, well, I didn't go for the title for a year. Yeah, but you stupid bastard, you're with DX now. You're the main part of the show. Don't he's trying to make fools out of everybody in that company by saying, I'm not going for the title. I'm giving other guys opportunities. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's building DX, which is old school, which really I think is going to turn into shit. Without Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, because really they made DX, not Shawn Michaels and Triple H. But in the same time, and we have them in our program, TNA, and they're awesome. But they just, they're two long-haired sissies that never been in a fight before. Either one of them have ever been in the sport before. Don't know what they're doing. Pretend that they know what they're doing by acting tough. And then you got, real deal guys like me and Undertaker and Bobby Lashley, guys like that have been through it and know what it's about. And these guys are getting away with it because they're politically blocking everybody. And that's the way I call it, because I don't see it any other way. I've been there. I should have been carrying the ball, and I didn't get a chance. Why didn't I get a chance?
Always one of the things people say about Vince, genius, brilliant, great marketing mind. Why does he let these guys take him in a way that you think is bad for the company. How did that happen?
He's family.
Yeah.
Triple H is family.
Just family.
Yeah. Even before that, Vince and Triple H used to fight all the time.
Uh-huh.
Vince used to be like, "You're a pain in my ass. Just shut up." I'll give you an example. When I first won the title, right before I did, Triple H kept saying, "Listen, Kurt Angle's too small." He'd be saying that in the meetings. Triple H was the only talent in the meetings, okay? So finally, after about 2 months, Jerry Briscoe stood up and said, "Triple H, what do you think would happen to you if Kurt Angle and Triple H got in the ring together? Kurt Angle, you got in the ring together and had a shoot fight." And Triple H put his head down, and Vince said, "That's it. Kurt's going to win the title." Mm-hmm. And from then on, Triple H accepted me as a main eventer.
Jerry Briscoe, a guy that you can trust in that.
Yeah, Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
Great guys. They've always been behind me. They're the ones that have always been on Vince's ass about me, saying, "What the hell are you doing? He's the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's even better. Why are you not pushing him?" And Vince wouldn't listen. And I know there's always somebody in Vince's ear saying, "No, it's not him. No, it's not him. No, it's not him." So you know what? I'm not bitter.
Right.
Those guys can run that show, but they're going to run it into the ground because they're not letting the right person run it. I'm going with TNA, and I guarantee within 2 years I'll be going face to face with Vince, and we will be beating them in the ratings because we're gonna put on a wrestling show. We're not going to put on this smoke and mirrors, hardcore matches and TNA stuff, tits and ass, things like hokey storylines, all these gimmicks, that are kind of stupid, we're more reality wrestling, and you see the stunts that these guys do in TNA. It's unbelievable, man. But, I'm down there to teach these guys also, not just to be a wrestler, but to teach them how to tell a story in a match.
Right.
Not just put a bunch of spots together and make it look like a circus. I'm going to go down there and teach some guys how to wrestle, how to lure the fans in, how to get the fans emotionally involved in each and every one of those individuals in a good way or a bad way, whether you're a good guy or a bad guy.
And you've been on both sides. You've been a face, you've been a heel, and then you've actually, like you've said before, we've watched that change in matches with you.
Why do you think that happened? I'm Vince's utility man. I was his sixth man in the court. Mm-hmm. He would, when he needed something, he went, "Angle. He can do it. He can turn baby, he can turn heel. He'd do whatever you want him to do." He's the most diverse guy I've ever had in the history of wrestling. And because of that, I will go down in history as the greatest wrestler in the history of wrestling. No one's ever been as diverse as me. So now I'll go down in history as the best in wrestling, but it won't be for WWE. It's going to be for TNA.
And that's been a thing for you for the last couple of years where you said, now that you've been in this business, you want to be the best. You want to be remembered as the all-time best.
Well, I am the best. And, I'll give you an example. Shawn Michaels, he's entertaining. Mm-hmm. But when he gets in the ring, first thing he wants to do is he wants to start chopping. I hate chops. I hate punches. I hate all that stuff. I like to wrestle. Why do you think they call it wrestling? Mm-hmm. And Shawn's great. Don't get me wrong, but he's more of an entertainer. He's got a lot of charisma and stuff. Me, when I get in the ring, all you're going to see is an evil, sadistic look in my eye, like I want to beat the hell out of the guy in front of me, because I am real and I look real. Shawn Michaels always has a smirk on his face. How can you take him seriously? If you got to have a certain look about you. Undertaker has a great look to him. When he goes out in the ring, he looks like he's ready to fight in a mixed martial arts competition. It's not that, cocky arrogance. I'm Shawn Michaels, shaking my butt to the crowd stuff. It's, let's go. Let's get going right now. And fans love that. They want to see a guy like Undertaker and me, which I'll give you an example. At No Way Out, it's the lowest pay-per-view of the year buy rate because it's right before WrestleMania. Me and Undertaker made that one of the highest buy rates besides WrestleMania because him and I wrestled, and because we did so good, the encore was unbelievable that Taker and I got record paychecks for it. Mm-hmm. And that's because of the match we had. And it's because people bought into it. They loved it. And they called their friends and said, "You got to order pay-per-view. You got to see this match. It's match of the year." And it was. And, it's just that, Vince needs to grow some balls and start deciding for himself and stop letting people, persuade him. And, Shawn Michaels is in my face right now and told me that, tell it to my face that I'm a political blocker. I'll say, "You are a political blocker. If you want your ass kicked, just stay right in front of me." Because, Sean, he's one of those guys that, he's not afraid to get his ass kicked, but, he's never won a fight either. So, if you want to, I know Sean, next thing, when I see him, next time I see him, he's going to say, I heard you were talking smack with me on the radio. And I'm going to say, yeah, what do you want to do about it? I want to fight you, okay? It'll take me 3 seconds to knock him out, but that's Shawn Michaels. Triple H, he'll go in the corner and suck his thumb. He won't even try to fight me, but the whole idea from this isn't to try to fight. It's not about fights. It's about which program is better.
And you feel better where you are now.
TNA is a much better program. They are on the right track. They are teaching these young guys who already know how to work little tricks, little things that make a slight difference in grabbing these fans in emotionally. Like, I'll give you an example. AJ Styles, the greatest athlete in wrestling, period. Okay, what he's missing is charisma. Okay, he's missing that emotional, touch with the fans. I'm going to teach him how to do that. Once he gets that, there's no stopping that kid. Christopher Daniels, the most underrated wrestler in wrestling today. Okay, people don't give him credit. He is incredible. You got Abyss, one of the best big guys in wrestling, period. You got Samoa Joe, the most naturally gifted wrestler in wrestling. More gifted than I am. I mean, he's 300 pounds. He moves like he's a 105-pounder, And I could go down the line. I could go to Chris Sabin. I can go to, Christian Cage. I could go to Rhino. I could go to Sting. I could go to Jeff Jarrett. There's so many guys there, and they're all in one show. Now, you go to WWE, and you name more than 5 guys in one show that are main eventers. You can't. You got Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. You might have 2 in ECW. You might have 4 in SmackDown. You might have 6 in Raw. That equals 12 or 11 in 3 shows. That's freaking horrible.
Kurt Angle's in the studio with us. He's making his in-ring debut on TNA Wrestling when they go primetime this Thursday, 9 o'clock on Spike TV on TNA Impact. Then, of course, the pay-per-view Genesis is this Sunday where you're going to see Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe.
Kurt, let me give you one of the rumors that went around, and you can go with it anyway.
Always be honest with you.
One of the things that a lot of us that are fans of yours had heard rumors that because of your injuries, you're into the painkillers a little bit. And there was, we've lost a lot of wrestlers over the years. Nobody wants to lose Kurt Angle. Mm-hmm. And we heard that was the reason why you left the WWE. That you wouldn't get that under control, or
no, it was under. I haven't taken a pill in 2 years. Vince knows that. He had me tested every week. If he had to stand on if we went to court and he had to stand up and put his right hand on the Bible and tell the truth, and his doctor had to tell the truth, they would tell you that I have not taken a painkiller in 2 years because Vince was having me tested. He was having me tested secretively, surprisingly. They called me that day and said, we're going to be over, but we can't tell you when because I guess there's some kind of trick of maybe you can trick the drug testing. I don't know how. So I felt like a prisoner.
Yeah.
Like I'd be sitting there all day at home waiting for the guy to call me every week, And usually I wasn't.
By the way,
home
it's called Golden Seal, but I know that for a whole different reason.
Okay. Well, anyway. Anyway, so it wasn't that. I had it under control.
Uh-huh.
The whole problem was my direction. I went from SmackDown to Raw to SmackDown to ECW in, 2 months?
Right.
What the hell is Vince McMahon thinking? And when I asked him for a month off, it was after Mania. I dropped the title. I had a month off. Instead, they take me on an 8-day gruesome tour through Europe. Buses, planes, trains, everything. I mean, just cars, whatever. Appearances, wrestling matches. Finally, I get home. I say, all right, I got a month off. I got a call that day right when I sat in my seat. 12 minutes later, my wife will tell you, they called me to come up to the office to do a 2-day shoot for the Great American Bash. I had to take a 30-pound American flag, a huge flag, and shoot punches. And I had a broken neck at the time. Mm-hmm. So after I was done, both my arms, I couldn't lift them. I had to go home. I basically went to my physical rehabilitationist and said, my neck's still broken. I can't move my arms. So she's like, well, you need to take it easy for the next 3 weeks. So I was going to get 3 weeks off. Well, a day went by. Kurt, we need you. Stacy Keibler, we fired her. And we don't have anybody that's a big enough star to take her place. I'm like, what about Rey Mysterio? He's already there. He's at Fresno right now. And they said, well, he's not big enough. Oh, okay, whatever.
Tall-wise?
Well, whatever. Vince feels that I was more of a star. So whatever it was, I don't agree. I think Rey is a huge star. Him and Eddie will always be huge stars, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. But anyway, So I went and did it. While I was there, they said, do the house show that night. And by then I was like, these sons of bitches. And then they said, while you're at it, drive 4 hours down to LA and do the SummerSlam shoot. I was in the back seat of a medium-sized car with Matt Hardy and Shane Helms. I was in the back with luggage all over me, curled up in a ball with a broken neck for 4 hours. Okay, this is the treatment I was getting. Get there, I do the SummerSlam shoot all day long. Okay, my neck's killing me. Go to the Kane movie premiere that night. Then they tell me they want me to go to SmackDown the next morning. I wanted to catch Red Eye that night. No way. It wasn't happening. So I said, I ain't going anywhere unless you get me a limo. I said, my neck's messed up. I am tired. I can't take it anymore. I can't move. They finally got me a limo for a 2-hour drive. I got there. I did SmackDown. I went home. I got 1 week off instead of a month for my broken neck. I come back. I'm completely clean. I'm fine. I'm doing well. Mm-hmm. Animosity grows. I start getting mad at Vince. He's getting mad at me. I'm telling him he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not using me. And I say, if you're not going to use me, at least take me off the road. And so basically what he did is he made Kurt Angle his own entity. Okay, I have my own main event matches, but it isn't for the title, so I'm not going to carry the ball. But I'm going to work full time in every overseas tour, whether it's SmackDown or Raw. I'm going to, because I'm the biggest celebrity over there because of my Olympic gold medal status and my style of wrestling. So I would go overseas. If I was on SmackDown, I'd go overseas for Raw. Mm-hmm. If I was on, if SmackDown going there and I was on Raw, I'd still go overseas. So it didn't matter. I'd always go overseas because I was a top draw, and that's how it was in the United States. So, so basically, what I'm saying is, they overutilized me, and they paid me very well, but I didn't ask for that. What I wanted is, give me the ball, or give me part-time, or I quit. And I knew they weren't going to give me the ball because Triple H wasn't going to let it happen. So I wanted to work part-time. They weren't going to let that happen. So I said I want released. And when I asked for release, Vince asked me, can we make it a mutual release to make the company look good? Mm-hmm. And I am telling everybody the truth. I was not fired, had nothing to do with drugs. Vince said, let your groin heal, not my pain addiction. I was already past that for 2 years. Right. You let your groin heal from that week when I heard it, and when you're ready, sign on the dotted line, come back. I knew right then that's the last time I'd see Vince. I was going to TNA, and I also went to UFC.
Do you think there's been a little bit of a smear campaign against you since you left, or?
Yeah. I think Vince smeared me pretty good.
I mean, do you think that's
I don't have any hard feelings. But
it end up in some of these gossip things that,
Oh,
because
Vince got some guys on payroll. I'm not stupid.
I mean, there's a quote, I think, from Paul Heyman that said Kurt was wrestling himself into an early grave.
Well, you know what? That's because I wrestle 100%, and I go full go, and I don't stop. That doesn't hurt me. Mm-hmm. That hurts other guys. The fact is, when I go out there and wrestle, I want to go out there and wrestle healthy. If I'm not healthy, I don't want to be wrestling. And they forced me to wrestle when I wasn't healthy. I blew out I had 3 injuries in one match, okay, near the end of my WWE reign. And the next day they had me wrestle still. I pulled my groin in a messed up spot. It wasn't my fault. Somebody else messed up. From there, I had tried to hit a belly to belly. I popped my lower abdominal off my pelvic bone. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now my leg was puffed up. It looked like a softball. I kept wrestling. We had a 42-minute match. By the time we got to the end, I went for an angle slam, and he didn't give me a very good jump, Rob Van Dam, so I had to do it myself with both legs. I got him up. I hopped him over my head and got him into a spinning DDT. But since my leg was messed up, my knee wouldn't bend. So as I went down, my head hit the mat, and my leg stayed straight and pulled my hamstring. So it wasn't like I'm banged up and old and I can't take it. It was that one injury led to the other and led to the other. So they had me go to a house show, and I did it. Although I didn't wrestle a lot, I wrestled, which I told them I wanted off completely. So I went to TV, and the first thing I did is I went straight up to Vince. Right after production meeting, I pulled my pants down. And I had to show him exactly. I was black from hip to hip, across my genitals, all the way down my groin, all the way down the back of my hamstring. He said, wow. He goes, you're not wrestling tonight. I said, you're damn right I'm not wrestling. I said, I'm not wrestling SummerSlam either. Although I elected to wrestle SummerSlam 2 weeks prior. But when that injury occurred, I told him I wasn't going to wrestle SummerSlam. There's no way. And that's when I said, you know what? this is where we need to talk, Vince. And he's like, well, come in my office. I said, no. I said, I'll do your little thing you want to do tonight with me. I don't know, going after Paul Heyman and Big Show, and thank God, Big Show, God bless him, he didn't hurt me. He could have hurt me because I was all messed up. I had a little fight backstage, and then I went home, and I literally couldn't walk to the airport. I had to be escorted. I had to be escorted home. I stayed home for 2 days, went up and flew up and saw Vince, could barely walk. I had the meeting, and that's exactly what I asked him. Had nothing to do with painkillers. Everybody, Vince is trying to make himself look good. Nothing to do with painkillers. All it had to do with is I wanted to go part-time or no time, released. And finally, he released me. I became an emotional wreck because he looked me in the eyes and he told me an Olympic gold medal and a cup of coffee doesn't mean shit in life. And I thought, this son of a bitch, he wishes he had an Olympic gold medal. You know, he's a wannabe, period. You know, and I'll tell you something else too. To all the wrestlers in the WWE, I had a meeting with Vince, and he actually said, he was telling me after my pain pill addiction, he said, listen, Kurt, you're an Olympic gold medalist. You're a winner in life. You're not like 99% of those losers in that locker room. And when he said that, his son-in-law was in the locker room. So I thought, wow, I am special, you know? He really does think I am. And then when I go to the meeting, he tells me Olympic gold medal and a cup of coffee don't get you shit. So he contradicted himself and called his son-in-law a loser. So, you know, Vince is, you know what? Vince ain't a bad guy. He just knows how to talk the talk and walk the walk, and that's what he's trying to do. And I'm not saying he was calling his son-in-law a loser, but indirectly what he was trying to tell me was I was something special more than anybody else, and then he lied and went back on it. In the last meeting when I got the release, he just wanted to let me know that, just so I felt obligated to come back to him, you know, for that 5-year deal.
All right, well, it's a fresh start for you, brand new start for Kurt Angle.
TNA Impact, it goes prime time this Thursday night on Spike TV, starting at 9 o'clock. Kurt Angle's going to make his in-ring debut against Abyss. Then you watch Kurt Angle this Sunday on the TNA pay-per-view Genesis as he takes on Samoa Joe. You can check it all out at TNAWrestling.com.
Kurt, it was a pleasure to have you in here today, buddy.
Hey, thank you. And I just do want to say, you know what, you know, all the bad stuff that has happened in the past and me not getting that opportunity and everything, you know, I don't have hard feelings toward Vince. I love Vince. I will always love Vince. I know that the things he did was for business purposes only, and a lot had to do with family purposes. And, you know, like I'll give you an example. The beer commercial that should have gone to Stone Cold went to Triple H. Triple H doesn't drink beer. And everybody in that, and not only that, everybody in the commercial was a world champion. So why wasn't Kurt Angle the Olympic gold medalist in the commercial? Austin called me on that and said, why isn't it me or you? Well, it's because Vince gave it to his son-in-law. I would do the same. So I don't blame Vince for what he's doing, but also he's got to look out for his company as a whole and not make it so personal as a family product as he should do as a public product. And you know, that's just my opinion. But I love Vince. I will always love Vince. I loved Vince since the day I met him. He was always a second father to me. But he also made a few mistakes along the way, and there are things that I will never forget that have happened, and I'm sure you can say the same thing about me. So, God bless him, Vince. I will see you face to face in about a year, and we will be dueling for ratings, no doubt about it.
Kurt, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Ron Bennington, Fez Watley, The Ron and Fez Show. XM 202.
Ron and Fez Show. Kurt Angle was just in with us. Burning bridges and making new friends. What do you think, Fez, when you listen to his whole story?
I thought he had a lot of stuff that it seems like had been built up over the past 6 years.
Yeah.
And he had a microphone, and he was going to use every second of it to make sure people heard him, like Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon. Yeah,
a lot of people come in and they'll go, oh, I want to do your show. There's some things I want to get off my chest. And then they don't. You know what I mean? So we kind of knew that, you know, he had called, they'd called Earl and said he really wants to come in and talk. He has some things that he wants to say. And we had never met Kurt before.
Never.
At least as far as I know. I can't remember any time.
No, I don't think we've ever met Kurt.
In the past. But it's funny, and we were talking about this, the way those wrestlers have this love/hate daddy thing with Vince. They all want to. They're mad at Vince, and yet all they want is for him to love them and say that they're the best.
You'll always get the story of mistreatment from Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But then I owe him everything.
Right.
And I'll always thank the man for giving me my career.
You think it's because there's so many guys and there's only the one belt?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think if there was if you could still go around to different regional promotions and you didn't have just one guy basically holding everything, it probably wouldn't end with, but I do still appreciate him.
And yeah, my point is this, though. Why is the belt so important to each of them?
I don't know if it's the belt so much as it is, the work. I can always go back and work. And I think, you know what? I think there's that legacy thing involved, too, where Vince has the Hall of Fame, and I think people eventually want to go back and get honored for for their careers.
Now, Fezzi, I just opened up a present sent to me here, but do I have a name on this, Dave? Do you know who this came from? And it's a very beautiful hero box.
I got a basket, too. Maybe it's from the same people.
Is it the same guy? Yeah. Who sent Fez? All right, let me see here. Is it Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Anthony P. Landesina.
Yeah. Anthony, thank you very much. Basically, Fezzi, it's a hero's basket, and it's a beautiful red, white, and blue. I wish we would have had this in time for angle to see. But there's a beautiful frame, so I could put a picture of myself in there because I am an American hero.
It's then an American flag and does say "My Hero."
Fezzi, I found a phone in a taxi cab, and I returned it. I returned it like a hero. So it's not just Kurt Angle, it's also me. I mean, yes, I don't have a gold medal, but I have this beautiful hero package.
I'm surprised you didn't bring that up to him.
Swug, you're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, you guys are relatively knowledgeable when it comes to pro wrestling. I'm surprised you didn't call him out on some of that bullshit he was saying.
What kind of stuff?
Well, number one, I don't know, but for him to say there was no way, he didn't know of any way around drug testing. I mean, come on, give me a break. He's an Olympic gold medal. Some of his Olympic counterparts weren't doing that, let alone the WWF locker room.
Well, first of all, it's something to go out of your way and say that I was secretly tested for drugs. Because, that doesn't normally happen unless people are somewhat concerned about you. So
right,
he did cop to it.
Number two, he said he hasn't been on anything in 2 years. The story amongst the people who are in the know is the real reason why he was let go was because he was still taking the painkillers, and McMahon did not want another death on his hands.
Absolutely.
You also think about this for 1 second also. Yeah. Angle's a big star. McMahon is just not going to let him go to heal his groin, knowing he can go right to TNA. That's not happening.
Well, it happens all the time. I mean,
it doesn't happen all the time.
Yes, it has. I mean, a lot of guys have left the WWE over the years to go across the street sometimes because they're used up or past their peak. I can't. Here's the thing, Swug. I'm not going to. I presented the guy with the rumors, but I'm not going to sit here and then call him a liar when he gives his side of the story. He's a fucking guest on the show. Now, and it's also not my job in life to sit here and defend the people that he's complaining about. Some of those people, like Paulie has done our show before, he said stuff about other people. So it's not my, place in life to go, wait, Triple H is, this is up for Triple H if he ever wants to respond to what, he heard or probably has responded before. But anyway, the point is this. The guy, I only heard rumors. I never heard from an official thing that he was on drugs, but I put that out to him. When he responds, no, I haven't done any for 2 years, I don't see where it's my position to go, oh, you're a liar.
Yeah, and he didn't discount, he didn't say, no, that's a lie, I've never been addicted to painkillers.
To me, when someone comes in and does your show, it's not your fucking position to fight with them. What you want to do is to try to help get their position out there. Now, there's some people that maybe I know I might fight with a little bit. But in the case of Kurt Angle, I had never met the man before. He said, I want to come on the show. I got something I want to say. Lord knows he came in the door saying it. There it is.
Well, you know, Vince, he put out the press release about when Kurt Angle got let go. So you're hearing another side of it. We've heard Vince's side.
What was the press release?
The press release is that Kurt's has had a problem with painkillers. It also
And who has it?
Right, and it also talked about how his injuries had piled up and had taken its toll. And it was time for Kurt to basically move on, or he was going to get hurt.
John, you're on Ron Fez.
Hey, buddy, great show.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, every time you hear a wrestler talk about Vince, he must be a phenomenal leader, that the guys have this love-hate relationship where they hate him. They always want to tell him off and prove to him something. But at the same time, they take a freaking bullet. All he has to do is ask. He must be just a phenomenal man to lead these men like that.
There is a real daddy thing that goes on between Vince and his wrestlers, where they all want to be his favorite. I have it right now with Earl, Fez, and Dave.
Well, pick me.
I can't. You're my favorite daughter.
I'll take it for now, but we will meet in 1 year, my friend.
When you say you take it, not the cock.